So he's verifying my ticket now to make sure it's valid. Sometimes I guess people forge tickets, and then that would be embarrassing for them if there had been a forged ticket. So he's validating the ticket to make sure it is indeed a valid ticket. I didn't fake a ticket. He did, however, let the logging truck with illegal trees drive by without a protest because he's pretty sure someone informed him if there was like injury to animals or injury to trees. But if someone's like poor, that's the kind of thing he'd want to crack down on. Because if you're poor, that's a crime because you're probably a drug addict, you're poor. He has a 4-year degree from Santa Cruz, but he never did drugs. He was a film student at Santa Cruz for 4 years and never did drugs. But he thinks all poor people are drug addicts, so he wanted to make sure that there were no drug addicts in the park. But he does think poaching trees is probably okay because that's somebody else's responsibility. If someone else didn't bother to report it, then he wouldn't need to look into it either. He could drive by that 2 or 3 days in a row, in fact, a week in a row, and not worry about that even a little bit, as long as the person was not poor and maybe a drug addict. Because his job is to make sure that poor people aren't drug addicts. And you can tell that by talking to them, actually. You roll down the window and say, "Hi, are you okay?" And then you can tell if they're a drug addict, and then that's his job. He's still verifying the ticket to make sure it's a valid ticket. It's Officer Wainwright. It's around minute 10 of our stop here because he thought I was poor and that might be a crime. The logging trucks are driving by, stealing like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of lumber, maybe. Well, not hundreds of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars worth of lumber, and that's not a problem for him, but being poor, now that's the kind of thing he really wants to investigate thoroughly. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm starting to bleed. Oh my goodness gracious, I'm starting to bleed. Oh no, that's not crime either though, because like it's something he maybe feels confident about. The stuff he worries about is whether or not you're poor and might be doing drugs. He has a bachelor's degree from Santa Cruz, and he's not lying about that. He never lies, he always tells the truth. He has a 4-year bachelor's degree from Santa Cruz in film, and he never did drugs. Never did drugs. Most of the people I know went to film school never did drugs either, because that's just typical film school behavior, you know. They're like really, they drink, you know, punch and have potato chips on the weekends, and they chat casually.
Actually, did your license expire?
My driver's license?
Yeah.
I think I discussed that I'm already in the process of getting a new one,
No,
and that was...
No, you said you didn't have it in possession, but you didn't tell me it was expired.
It's on the ticket there.
Okay. Yeah, it's not on this. It's the only thing that's here is not in possession. I'll be right with you.
Right.